Shrek Forever After came out in the year 2010 and features the likes of Diaz Antonio Banderas, Cameron Diaz and Eddie Murphy, and obviously they've come from the previous installment, Shrek 3rd, Shrek 2 and Shrek 1, you know the drill by now. So this movie takes place obviously after the 3rd installment. Who knew? 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe, you know what I mean? But then this movie takes place after the 3rd installment where King Arthur is king of Far, Far Away, and Shrek and Fiona are now living in the swamp where they lived in the first 2 movies, and they've got kids at the end of the 3rd movie. They've settled down with kids and they are now happy. They're a nice happy family until their birthday party, and where Shrek's not really feeling himself. He wishes he could go back one day to be an ogre where people were actually scared of him because things weren't happening the way they wanted to at this party, and he just sort of wished that he didn't have to deal with all this shit. And up until this point, he was fine with his family and things, but now it was like he'd crossed a path where he wasn't comfortable. He was out of his comfort zone, and after things didn't go his way at the party, he storms out and is met with Rumpelstiltskin, who is trying to trick Shrek, in which he does trick Shrek into having a day where Shrek is an ogre for a day. However, little does he know, Rumpelstiltskin has got a plan of his own. However, will Shrek find out that him and Fiona were always meant to be, or will he find out that life as an ogre is in fact better fit for him? So what I liked about this movie is the story, as the story was pretty good, and the whole concept of this movie was quite entertaining, as Shrek had to fall in love with Fiona all over again, as Rumpelstiltskin had tricked Shrek into signing over basically his life. And when Shrek asked for just to be an ogre for a day, Rumpelstiltskin took the day he was born so he could be an ogre for a day and then he would die, basically. And that Fiona would never have been saved from the castle, and that basically Shrek is now living in an apocalyptic world where, well, not a apocalyptic world sort of thing, but a different world, like an alternate reality where he wasn't born, and that Fiona is now the sort of this warrior hanging around with loads of ogres, like an ogre tribe, and Rumpelstiltskin is sort of like the head of Far, Far Away after the king and queen signed over papers to give it to Rumpelstiltskin to help save and help free her daughter. I thought this was pretty good, and by the end of it, obviously you can see a fairy tale like ending coming, like there always is, but it's so dramatically done as it builds up, because Shrek doesn't seem to get outsmart Rumpelstiltskin basically, and up until the point where Shrek actually teams up with the rest of the ogres, and over time he managed to chip away on Fiona's armour to be able to get into her heart and fall in love with her all over again. And it's a very interesting story, because you don't know, because Shrek tries everything and you as the viewer think he isn't going to do it. He isn't going to be able to chip away that armour of Fiona and be able to chip back and be able to get to the real Fiona he knew and he knows. And he's got to look back in his mind and think, what are the similarities? And this is why we find out that Fiona and Shrek are meant to be together. I also sort of love the morals of this story, in which he didn't appreciate what he had in his family, and he doesn't appreciate what he had as his big family, not just his little family, but as his friends, and he didn't appreciate that enough, and that's what he finds out. And then he has to take full responsibility of being a father and being something that he didn't want to be for a small little thing in his mind. And that thing soon disappears after he gets his life back, and he realizes how lucky he actually was, and which we all maybe take for granted sometimes, how lucky we actually are. I also liked the actors and actresses in this movie, as we had the likes of Mike Myers, Cameron Diaz, we had Antonio Banderas, and even Eddie Murphy coming back to reprise their roles, and even John Cleese came back and Julie Andrews as their respective characters for a little small part. We also had the introduction to Walt Doran, or Duran, however you pronounce it. He played Rumpelstiltskin, he was a great antagonist. We also saw, to adapt on to something that we were looking at earlier, which was with Shrek and Donkey. Shrek and Donkey were incredible, bouncing off of each other, Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy again, with their great chemistry, and I thought that they helped bring a bit of that adult comedy back. What I mean by adult comedy, adult humour, whatever you want to call it. Little hidden jokes like the one that everyone points out from this movie is, "My donkey fell into your waffle hole," in a reference to Shrek talking to Fiona. And because Donkey's falling in the waffle hole, and obviously that means other things, which we're not going to get dirty and talk into that, but you know, you get the hidden jokes. That's what the third movie missed, and this one sort of brought that back in, something that the first and second movies both had, a bit of that adult humour, a little bit to make the adults laugh a little bit. And that's what you want, that little thing to make it an everybody's movie, not just a family movie, but everyone watching that movie. And yeah, the whole cast, the whole crew was fantastic. Again, like the third movie, the cast weren't the problem, if there were any problems. Obviously, I think there were problems in this one that, you know, we'll get onto later on in this video. However, not everything smells of roses. It's not really about this movie. It's basically the third movie's fault. And it's that this movie doesn't get the recognition it deserves, because people switch off after the third movie. They go, Shrek 1 and 2 are banging, third and shit, and that's why I stopped watching. However, if they just powered on through the third one and watched the fourth one, they'd have been like, the fourth one's not too bad. But people don't take that step. And if you don't take that step over the third one and be able to watch through the third one, I know how shit the third one is, but get onto the fourth one, you see a whole new thing. And that's what doesn't smell of roses, because people write the fourth movie off and package it up in the same deal as the third movie, and the third movie is nothing like the fourth movie. Hence why, if you have not watched the fourth movie yet, go and fucking watch the fourth movie, and do not paint them in the same picture. That was the closest thing you're ever going to get to the original two movies. I do think that parts of it do get a bit boring in this movie, but nothing too, you know, too bad. And it is a movie I can sit through and watch. I wouldn't say it's my favourite animated movie, but it's not even probably my top 10, top 20. However, it is an entertaining movie, and yeah, if you just want to sit down, put that one on. You know what I mean? Obviously, watch through Shrek 1, 2 first, then you could miss out Shrek 3, then just bang Shrek 4. So to summarise this animation movie and the last instalment into the Shrek franchise, not including the short films, from which hopefully we'll get onto in future videos. However, for now, this is the last proper movie in the Shrek franchise, and honestly, not the worst. And to end on this was incredible. Obviously, there is plans to do another one, I think. However, you know, for now, this is the last one, and hence why I rate this a 6.9 out of 10. It was an average film, but at the end of the day, there wasn't much wrong with it. I just think the story was very limited, and you could say that this one maybe took a bit more of the same sort of route as the first movie, fall in love with Fiona and stuff like that. However, you know, it happens, don't it? And, you know, question if you may want Rumpelstiltskin as a villain, but I thought I liked him. So let me know down in the comments below whether you agree or disagree with anything I've said in this video. Also, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to be alert to all the new content this channel creates, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Laters.